Marketing Your Private Practice is a podcast where you'll learn easy to implement tips and strategies to grow your business without spending all day online. I'm your host, Kathy Colaiacovo, and I teach practitioners the Thrive marketing method to create simple and streamlined plans by focusing on long-term strategies, not just social media. Discover ways to spend less time on your marketing, attract more clients, and build the financial freedom that comes with a thriving practice. One where you have time left in your day for the people and things that matter to you. Hey, private practice heroes. Did you know that creating marketing content that is helpful, useful, and relevant for your ideal client is exactly what Google wants to see on your website too? But there are some tools in the marketplace today that can write content for you. And using them may actually hurt you in the long run because of a recent update Google's made in their search engine system. Now, we're not going to get overly techie today, I promise. But in today's episode, you will learn some do's and don'ts when it comes to creating content on your website and doing it so that Google shows you some search engine love. Let's get to it. Practitioners like you deserve a thriving practice helping your clients live long, healthy lives. I'm Kathy Colaiacovo, marketing strategist for practitioners and dietitians, and I'm here to tell you that marketing your private practice shouldn't be complicated or take hours a day. I help bring the joy back to running your practice with simple marketing plans that actually get you clients so you can spend your time doing more of what you love. The Marketing Your Private Practice podcast shares actionable strategies and time-saving tips that build your confidence and skills when it comes to marketing. Learn to spend less time on your marketing, how to attract more clients, and build the financial freedom that comes with a thriving practice. One where you have time left in your day for the people and things that matter to you. Having a website is critical to the growth and success of a private practice. And this means having content on your website is important too. That content helps people understand who you are, how you help people, and how they can work with you. Which means as the practice or business owner, you're going to need to create content on your website. And if you're like a lot of practice owners who started in business, you started your business for the freedom to work with who you want, when you want, and helping them the way you want with your expertise and services. Those are your superpowers. You typically didn't start your private practice to do marketing and create marketing content. You're a healer after all. You're not a marketer. And this is why many practitioners often turn to other people and even tools to create content for them, to write the articles, the blogs, the newsletters, and social media posts so they don't have to. Well, recently, Google had an update with their search engine system, and this update could affect your website, especially if you are using tools or considering using tools like artificial intelligence to create your content for you. And I don't know about you, but I've been seeing tons of ads for these types of tools lately, and they make it sound so great and so easy. It's going to save you a ton of time, especially if you feel you're not a writer. It's what makes them so appealing. This is also why today I wanted to share a few quick tips that are going to help you know exactly what to do and how to create content so that this update doesn't negatively affect you and your practice, especially your website. We want your website getting some Google love, not being penalized from Google. Now, this new update from Google is what they call the Helpful Content Update. Great name, very ingenious if you ask me how they named it, but it's very straightforward and clear. What they've done recently, though, is they've shared some info on the new update that started rolling out in August of 22. And they make it very clear what business owners need to consider when it comes to their website and their marketing content. So if you are only using an AI copywriting tool, and that's the only way that you're creating content because it's easy, you plug in some relevant words, phrases, and other info, and it spits out a blog post or an article that you can use on your website or in your marketing. Well, this kind of content could become a real problem with this new update from Google. It is called the Helpful Content Update because they want to help improve how they connect people with helpful information. It means what they're trying to get business owners to do is to focus on content created for people over content created for search engines. And when they talk about we want you to focus on content created for people, it really means we want to see this on your website. They want to make sure that when they show a website page in the search engine results, it is a page that will truly help the person who is doing that online search. And what this means for anyone with a website is that you need to be sure that the content that you create and publish on your website fits the bill for this helpful content update. So if your website has what they determine as unhelpful content, it is less likely to perform well in an online search with Google. And those are their exact words. So you'll want to be sure that you follow their guidelines for websites, and I'll have a link to that in the show notes for this episode. And in there, one of the things that you'll see is the very first principle that they have in their quality guidelines for website content. Make pages primarily for users, not search engines. So this is really going to be key in keeping your content fitting the bill for what they're looking for here. Having it focus on people, not search engines. And this is something I've taught my clients and program members since I started in business in 2008, how to create their own content and write for their ideal client. This is something I've taught my clients and program members since I started in business in 2008. I've always believed business owners can learn to create their own blog and newsletter articles simply by learning to write content that helps their ideal client. We've never written articles for them. We've always taught them how to take the brilliance in their head and put it in a word format to create lessons that will help their ideal client. It's why I 100% believe that every practice owner can write their own newsletter and blog articles, because I've taught hundreds of others to do the same, to learn this skill, and to be able to do it with confidence and ease. There truly is no one better than you to share your expertise. And that's what I've been teaching folks to do for years, using the HERC factor, as I've always called it: helpful, useful, relevant content. And this update with Google simply confirms that that is what they want from you as well: helpful, useful, relevant content. So now the big question comes is, how will you know if your website content fits the bill? Well, Google has made it very easy by making a list of questions to ask yourself about your website content. You can go through this list of questions and your answers will help you know if you are okay, if you need to be worried, or if you need to make some changes in your marketing strategy and plans. Now, I've done a video that walks through all of these questions and what they mean for you as the website owner. You can find that on my YouTube channel, and I'll have a link to that video in the show notes for this episode. And you'll be able to find those show notes at marketingyourprivatepractice.com/6. And that's the number 6. So you can also read more about it on their announcement on their Search Central blog, and I'll have you a link to that as well for you. But the bottom line here is what to do and what not to do when it comes to their content update. And so I'm going to run through 7 do's and don'ts that will help you understand what you should be doing as the practice or business owner with your marketing content and keep you from getting into the bad books with Google. We want to make sure that your website is getting the attention you need to be able to help people find it for you. So here are those 7 do's and don'ts that will help you comply with Google's helpful content update. So number 1, you do want to create content that is geared to help your ideal client. Focus it on solving their problems, giving them some solutions and next steps, and you'll be fine. Number 2 is you want to create your own content. So you want to be creating content that is coming right from you, and it is information that is taken from the expertise that you have and you share with your clients. You do want to focus your content on some main topics and make sure that these topics are related to your services and products, and share your expertise on those particular areas. One of the things that I teach folks in the Thrive Marketing Academy is how to create a content bucket of topics and then subtopics. And when we do that, you basically have gotten yourself a list of ideas that you can write about when it comes to your marketing content. And depending on how often you want to send out a newsletter or a blog, that list could actually be an entire year of content for a lot of practice owners. So making sure that your content focuses on topics that are related to your services and products is critical. You want to make sure the content you put out there is what your website content everywhere and all the pages are all about. So you don't want to have differing topics and ideas. You also want to, and this is number 4, include calls to action so that people will know what to do more than just reading that one page. You want to keep them on the website and reading more. And this is where calls to action will come into play in telling them what to do for that next step. Okay. You want to make sure that they know exactly what they should do once they're done reading that particular piece of content that they have consumed at that point. Now, one of the things you want to make sure you do not do is use artificial intelligence and copywriting tools alone to make the content for you. Many of these will pull information from other content on the internet, and it will not be seen as you and a human type of content. You need to get that human factor into your content. So you could potentially use some of those tools to get you started, but you'll want to make sure that the finished product looks more and feels more like someone has actually written it as a human versus an artificial intelligence tool. You don't want to be posting content for the sake of adding content. This is a real problem. Your content, when you create it, it really needs to have a purpose, and Google's looking for that to be part of what you put out there as well. So when you think about writing content that helps your ideal client, you're writing content that, helps them answer a problem or a question they have or gives them some solutions, that means that that content has a purpose. So planning your content, and that's why we use that bucket of topics, because we're making sure that whatever content the clients or the members of my programs are writing is really intended to help who would be their ideal client as well. And you definitely want to make sure that you do not leave people hanging without the answer they wanted. You want to make sure that your content shows right away that they can see that they're going to get that answer to their question, because if it doesn't answer their question, they will probably go back to the search results page and try again with another website. And Google watches this behavior. It says to them, well, the content on that page wasn't helpful, and that really means your website wasn't helpful. So you need to be helpful here. They watch and track this, and they want to see people go from the search engine results page to your website, to stay on there, to read it, and maybe even go to another spot. And that's why using number 4, the calls to action, is so important. You need to give them those next steps that may make them go read another article or sign up for a freebie or something like that. And I've got some good information on calls to action and using them in your marketing in episodes 4 and 5 of the podcast. So you can go back and listen to those if you haven't already, because that will give you some ideas on how to make sure you're not leaving people hanging without the answer that they want. When you follow these 7 do's and don'ts with your marketing and how you create your content, you'll be able to get it done and get it done effectively so that it is something Google's looking for. And honestly, the way that we do this and the way that I teach people to do it, it's not rocket science. And most business or practice owners can learn to do it. I'm telling you, I've taught hundreds of people to do this before. Sometimes it just takes someone to show you how you can put these pieces of content together in a way that your ideal client can read them and learn from them. So you might need a little help in learning how to do this. That's why I teach it in the Thrive Marketing Academy. But I promise you, once you learn that method and the way of creating helpful content for your website, you will find it doable, and it will help you keep your business name and your website optimized for people. And most importantly, it will help Google like and even love your website and the content that's on it. And that's how you're going to get more people coming to your website and visiting you. And doing this in a way that doesn't involve you chasing down people on social media. When you put content on your website that Google can find and index and use and give to people as a search result, that typically is them sending traffic to you because it appears that you have the answer to people's problems. And that's what's most ideal about making sure that your website is complying with and is ready for this update that they've got out there, because it is going to help strangers find your website as well. Plus, when you're following the Thrive marketing method that I teach, any new content that you create for your website, blog, or your newsletters, well, that becomes the base of almost all your other new and current social media content that you need to create. And it really is the base of the path to creating less marketing content, taking less time to do your marketing, and doing it in a way that gets you more results. I do have a free guide that helps you streamline your marketing, and it shows you the only 7 pieces of marketing content you need to fill your content marketing planner. So if you don't have a copy of that yet, be sure to grab it from the show notes. I'll have a link to it in there as well. If you want to know how you can get more of the Herc factor into your marketing with guidance from someone like me, feel free to book a quick call with me. I'll have a link where you can get onto my calendar there, and we can talk about what some of your top struggles are when it comes to creating content and how we can get you to a place where creating this helpful, useful, relevant content for your website so that it works and hits home for people reading it, but also making sure that Google will actually be showing it to people. Well, we can talk about how to make that possible for your business or your practice. So be sure to check out the show notes from this episode and get access to all the resources I mentioned. There's several links to the Google update and information they have. I also have the video that walks you through those questions that they want you to ask yourself about the content on your website. And then I'll have a link to the other episodes that talk about calls to action, as well as a link to that Streamline Your Marketing Guide. So what you really need to know and understand from all of this, if you can put helpful, useful, relevant content on your website, Google is going to recognize that above artificial content that they're seeing out there, content that was created for search engines, not people. And the more you can do that, the more that they're going to help you do your own marketing for your practice as well. Be sure to take some notes from this. Follow along with the show notes. You'll find them all at marketingyourprivatepractice.com/6. And I will see you on the next episode. Marketing Your Private Practice with Kathy C. offers you all the show notes and resources mentioned in our podcast on our website at marketingyourprivatepractice.com. You can find and connect with Kathy on Instagram by searching for Pepper It Marketing. We love to hear any feedback you have, and be sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite player so you don't miss any future episodes. You can find all of our show notes and resources mentioned at marketingyourprivatepractice.com. Be sure to connect with me on Instagram at Pepper It Marketing and say hi. I'd love to hear any feedback you have, and make sure to rate and review the podcast and hit subscribe on your favorite player so you don't miss any future episodes.